Greetings, humans. A few months ago, I had the chance to sit down with guitarist and sonic experimenter Andy Pitcher. We improvised together, we talked about music with no boundaries, and we explored his incredibly unique instrument, a true one-of-a-kind. Seriously, it's freaking wild. Since then, Andy's released a new album called Dot, which features that very instrument. The album is a striking document of some of the ideas and sounds that we get into here, and I highly recommend listening to it. Of course, my good friend Collin Stanley made the connection and joined us behind the camera, and without further ado, let's get into it.
I love improvised music, and I love communal music. I love music with people, and as someone who wants to spend a lot of time playing the instrument, if you're improvising, without people at home, you kind of find other ways to do it. Maybe it's to recordings, maybe it's to recordings of yourself, your favorite records, that kind of stuff, or just backing tracks. So, especially for like people our age, there's all those like Jamie Abersol books, if you're into jazz, where it's like, 150 251s or whatever. And as time goes on and I get into effects and stuff, and the DL4 especially, there are all these new ways to improvise kind of with, these own versions of yourself. And with time, I was really lucky to start playing with tape machines and this big legacy of recorded music and falling in love with those sounds more than anything, the sound of the studio, and then trying to figure out how to do that in real time. And all of a sudden it starts turning in on itself, where I want to figure out how I can kind of fake a tape loop with the DL4. And the DL4, all of its tricks are inherently tape tricks. You can record a loop, right? And then I can play it back at half the speed. And now it's an octave lower than it used to be. I could reverse it. And then I could start to combine those things. I can play it back, halftime reverse. And now, like tape, if I were to do this on a tape machine and record over it, and now put it back to normal, where it's no longer halftime or reverse, that overdub is going to be double time in reverse. And it's all these tricks I learned from tape. Slowly, I started to think of the DL4 as an instrument in and of itself.
Check this out. I had this tape loop earlier. So we have this loop, and hearing everything you were just saying about the DL4 makes me want to flip this cassette over and see what happens. Anyway.
That sounds so good. I love that bass drum.
Yeah. Here's a happy accident.
Yeah, and that's a lot of it. It's just experimenting, because if you can practice freely, if you can explore freely, truly in a childlike way, like play the instrument, play around, like it doesn't have to be totally tonal or totally pitched or totally sensible, because all of a sudden you end up with something that you can maybe apply to more traditional music. And that's one thing that's been really fun for me in making this record, is trying to figure out where I can put all these sounds I've discovered into tunes. Sing along to, or there's no vocals, but you could like hum a melody along to it, that kind of thing. But I might be getting that melody you're hearing by stepping on a pedal for the second and third beat, which is pitch shifting a chord I'm playing up a fifth, and all of a sudden you make this great textured, very different thing that you wouldn't be able to do with just an instrument alone, and you wouldn't be able to do in the box alone. It's kind of this marriage of the two things.
I love these techniques, especially in context of song, any kind of like, melodic structure. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, they're definitely like things you can play. Some seed of it would have started on an acoustic guitar. Most often I play unplugged. And then once I have the shape of it, like the B section, the C section, all the things that come out of it is more where the pedals start to come in. Made me think of an electronic artist like Aphex Twin or Square Pusher or someone of that ilk. How can I make my guitar sound more like that, but in a way that they wouldn't be able to get that sound? I play this really strange aluminum instrument that has a lot of overtones that most guitars don't even have, let alone synthesizers. And so to be able to, a bit of that randomness that the tape provides is inherent to the string, and being able to bring that in makes it, for me, or at least to my abilities on the synthesizer, much richer sounds than I'd be able to do with other devices. And for me, the guitar is the greatest controller, because not only do I have like timbral control, like I can make it brighter by picking here or darker here, I have dynamic control over each note, and I have pitch, in really subtle ways. Even with an accord, I can bring stuff down. And with this instrument, where I get about a minute of sustain because of the aluminum, I can really kind of milk those things a little more.
Have you ever talked publicly about this guitar?
Probably not. Probably in like many one factoid moments, but not like in comments. But yeah, so this is a gentleman named Michael Lewell. He goes by Mixed Wood and Wire on Instagram. He calls them Mickeys. The back of the headstock has the logo. This is number 27.
Wow.
I think there are maybe 33 now or something. There's not too many of them. And he's like a award-winning landscape architect, which has given him a whole toolbox of techniques and, really in-depth knowledge of CAD systems. And so he started in his backyard manufacturing instruments to kind of, probably to answer questions he had for himself. And I was fortunate enough to find his work online. I was really infatuated and had this idea I'd been trying to achieve for a while that this medium seemed like the best fit for. I wanted an instrument with a physical feedback system built into it.
Physical feedback system?
Yeah, so like if I take the guitar and I hit my A string and I put it against the amp, it'll just speak to itself and go for a long time, and you get all these different overtones, especially with a louder amp. We're being
I was starting to hear it actually towards the end there.
Yeah. So I was like, how could I make an instrument that does that? And so I thought about piezos. There's kind of two different sides of a transducer. You can have, much like a microphone could be a speaker, or a speaker could be a microphone. You can wire a piezo or transducer backwards. It could pick up sound like this, right? But it could also produce sound. And so behind this piece of aluminum is basically a speaker driver, but instead of speaking to a piece of paper, it's speaking to the aluminum.
Oh my goodness.
And so with this second jack, I can send sound into the guitar.
What?
Yeah. And so my fear is if this was done in wood, because it's one membrane, it would just feedback. My hope was that this could act like the speaker cabinet, and this could act like the speaker baffle holding the speaker. Because I used to work in amp design at Supro. So I was thinking of it this way. It didn't work that well.
No.
It wasn't really the thing that we were aiming for. But along the way, I ended up with my favorite instrument I've ever played, because it just sounds so fucking good. It sounds so good. It feels, I don't know.
We're adults.
Yeah. It sounds so good, and it feels so good to play. And one day I'll probably dig in there and use a stronger.
So I shouldn't try to play that drum.
We could try it. I might have to replace the battery quick. The tape noise coming through the wood is pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh, that's just
yeah. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So this is a external volume, internal volume, so I could send the pickups to its own driver, and then a volume and tone for that amplification system. These pickups are made by Madlove in Australia. They're like a jazz master where they're wound to the edge. So it's a really big coil, but the back has a steel base plate, like a Supro pickup or like a Travis Bean pickup. And that way you get a really focused and pretty low noise single coil, which is great for grabbing those.
I've never heard, again, I'm a bass player, so I'm used to being able to get far into the harmonic series because it's a low string. I've never heard a guitar go that far into the series.
Yeah, and like really so strong. I think it's the combination of the aluminum, these pickups. It's just like, and so I can really specifically spell out chords. Like I was doing a lot of that when we were playing because there's just like a nice A major, you know, and then I can like add the seventh.
Yeah.
And just because of the aluminum, just let that chord stay a long while, and then sample that, and then all of a sudden I have this like halftime, you know, cloud. So it's a really great guitar. It's an amazing thing. Whenever I play, people come up and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Just try it. Just try it." It's like it's a lot to explain. Just play it.
I do want to try to play the tape loop into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, it's about to get weird. Andy's internal piezo speaker needed a 9-volt battery, so we changed that off camera. Before I played my tape loop into the Mickey 27 guitar, Andy shows us something that blows our minds.
All right, it's now an acoustic feedback system. Yeah.
Whoa, run that back. Notice something really important. Nothing is plugged into this guitar right now. Nothing going in, nothing coming out. The feedback is coming from inside the house. You know, the body of the guitar.
Oh my goodness. That's nuts. Yeah.
So if you're anything like me, which you probably are because you're watching this channel and we're all weird, you see this guitar's capability and you start to wonder things like, what if I send the guitar delay signal back into itself? Well, guess what? Andy did.
You can like feel repeats happen in the body.
So that's happening
Inside. Physically. Yeah. So like if we put it on standby. Oh my God, that's wild. Yeah.
That's so wild.
And so what's happening there is you can like feed it a note, and that note will re-excite the string in the same way that you can put a brick on the piano, play an amp next to it, and it's like a string reverb.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar is like its own reverb tank when you set it up like this. And so me and Zach Weeks, who's a dear friend and a great recording engineer and mixing engineer up in Salem, he works at God City, we made IRs of this. And so you can actually for free online get an IR of this guitar, and you can simulate running sound through it. So I did a couple different tunings. I did a major tuning, a minor tuning, and then one that was kind of all fifths and octaves. And you can use like an IR reverb loader. So I ended up getting, I don't have it here, but I ended up getting this great Tasty Chips pedal called the Integral that is an IR loader. And so I have a pedal with my guitar's impersonations on it. So I run the guitar into a simulation of the guitar. It's very silly, but sounds good.
Okay, Andy's about to play a guitar loop into his own guitar's piezo speaker. And that's why it's so quiet at first. The amp is still off, but you're going to see he's going to switch on the amp, and we're going to bask in Andy's improvisation over his own guitar loop. Here we go. Oh my I'm all smiles. This is so sick.
Yeah. You should try it because it's like you feel it so much more too. The guitar, like I imagine when it's more like what playing a saxophone is like, where this thing is vibrating, you know?
Yeah.
There's a 9-volt amplifier in there and like half a speaker. But what we're hearing out of here is very clean, you know, so you can get into these really bizarre situations. Or like I'll use a Roland RE150 tape echo, and that has like the dry out and the echo out. And so you can plug just the echo out into the guitar. Yeah. And it's acting like you're holding the guitar in front of a speaker that is doing the big, you know, Jimmy Page tape delay. Yeah. And the thing you're hearing out here is a clean guitar. Yeah. You just get some sympathy.
Why aren't they all built like this, Collin? They should all be like this.
I agree. That's unbelievable.
This should be the standard.
Yeah.
For shits, I want to.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
You know, moments like this is, I feel like, what we live for as creators too. It's like when it's like the first time you saw the internet.
Okay, I heard it. So this is that reverse drum beat. I don't want
So you hear?
Yeah.
It's like Psycho.
Oh yeah.
It's exciting the strings.
Yeah.
This instrument for me is like a lightning rod of sound, where it doesn't matter if it's like you want to play the string or you want to play the body, you know. Yeah. You know, or you want to feed it external sound. It's all valid. And then you can, from there, make your tape loops and kind of like the musique concrète thing, just like anything's valid, you know? Do whatever. Especially now with this world of sampling. You can improvise over music, and now you have a totally unique set of samples bespoke to that tune, inspired by that tune, because it is that interactive like jazz thing.
Thanks everyone so much for watching. Look below in the description for links to Andy's album and Andy's socials. With that, as always, is peace and be good to each other.
A lot of people say input jack when it's really an output jack.
That's right.
This guitar does have an input jack.
Yes.
Yeah. It's rare.
This guitar's got an input jack.